Hey guys, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be updated every time I make a new video. Thanks, let's begin. This is what happens when Kevin Tenney is not allowed full control of a project that he's working on.
Now it begins.
The Cellar. This is the 1989 horror film that wasn't released in North America until 1990. The plot. An old man tries to sell a property to a young couple. They end up taking the house. Everything seems to be going great. The man's son is visiting them because he divorced his first wife and had a kid with her, so now the son's coming to visit. And everything's looking great. The house is looking okay. Everything just seems to be working out just fine. That is until the son starts to suspect there's something in the basement, or rather, the cellar. Basically, underground, unholy, ancient spirit terrorizes a family that is dysfunctional. Sounds like it could have been great. Have a little bit of drama mixed with the creature horror, a psychological drama thriller with teeth. However, the film is like a child's dream project. The characters' tones and decisions are so sporadic and inconsistent that it makes you wonder if a grade schooler had a nightmare, wrote it down on a piece of paper, and then submitted it to a film contest. I cannot stress this enough. It's like a movie made out of adolescent's playtime. I could even see it reading, "My dad didn't believe there was a monster. Then he did, and me and him fought it off." The end. That's basically this movie's climax. The producer's cut on The Cellar is terrible, with odd editing and weird placements, and music that, while really good, is put in at the wrong times. Also, the original beginning of the movie was put in as a flashback later on in the flick. That's in the producer's cut. And it feels way too drawn out by that point. You're like getting a 10-minute flashback when it should have been the opening scene. Despite this, though, there are some passable things about this movie. Kevin Tenney's director's cut, from what I've watched of it, ain't too shabby. The as-before-mentioned opening scene doesn't feel like a child's imagination, but rather a child's nightmare. I heard a noise, I saw the chaos, I warned my father, he didn't believe me until it was too late. It creates a creepy atmosphere that builds, gets shocking, builds some more, and then gets kind of heartbreaking. Keep in mind, this is a PG-13 horror film. There is some imagery in here that is quite disturbing. For the characters, we have Mance Cashin, played by Patrick Kilpatrick, from Scanner Cop 2, Death Warrant from 1990, which stars Van Damme. He is the father, but he makes really questionable decisions by the end. Until he sees the monster, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I believe you now. Everything's all forgiven, right? I didn't do anything too extreme, I hope." Comes off as kind of a jerk, has little patience for random stuff, so when it all builds and builds and builds, he just blows up. Willie Cashin, his son in the movie, played by Chris Miller, who is listed incorrectly on IMDb. It's not that Chris Miller, it's another Chris Miller. He's the resourceful, really smart with electronics, useful character. He doesn't really get too afraid. He kind of confronts the monster after a while, and he's like, "You know what? I ain't scared no more." Emily Cashin, played by Suzanne Savoy, is the loving, nurturing stepmom. She wants to earn the trust of Willie. It's understandable. And she's also very sympathetic towards the climax where Mance is just being a complete jerk, and she's like, "You gotta stop. He's gonna get hurt, or my baby's gonna be in trouble," because he locks Bill and the baby in the kitchen and locks the door. What the hell? So, of course, she knocks him out. TC, played by Ford Rainey from Halloween 2, 1981, he was the doctor in that movie, is the guy who's selling the house. He doesn't really have too much of a arc. He kind of just stops being in the movie after a while because a certain thing happens that happens in a lot of horror movies. So he never really pays for selling the house. He doesn't want to do it at first, but he needs the money.
I ain't thirsty.
He's also the kid in the opening scene where the flashback happens, where it takes place in like the 20s or 30s. Chief Sam John, played by Michael Wren. He's the wise Native American character who waters a tractor. I don't know. Brings a good luck, they say. Then there is Kyle Boatwright, who is Mance's boss in the film. Mance was the father, just to keep you up to speed. But, yeah, that's why Mance and his wife moved out there, because they had a new job opportunity, and Kyle hired him. He's played by Lou Perryman from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He was LG. So it was a nice little surprise to have him in the film. They all do passable jobs, but they kind of seem a bit bored. This is probably due to the film having so many production issues, but still. The gore, the effects. Remember, this is PG-13, so don't expect any severed limbs flying about or blood spraying everywhere. We do get a genuinely disturbing scene involving some puppies in the beginning, so animal lovers, beware. The creature effects in this movie are pretty cool. It crawls around on its hands and arms, and is very ferocious looking. A little hokey, but good enough. Also, the pyrotechnics in a few scenes are quite impressive, one in particular being the oil refinery explosion. The motion picture soundtrack. Now, the producer's cut had some unfitting music in certain scenes that don't really require it, like someone smoking. It boosts up the coolness in that scene, but takes away any real tension that scene would have had. The director's cut is mostly quiet in those scenes, which helps build the uneasiness, letting the dread and atmosphere carry the tone. I do love the end credits theme, and could have listened to it on repeats though. Now, before we wrap this up, let's get into some sweet facts with Telltale Treats. Kevin Tenney took over directing duties from the writer of the film, John Woodward, 8 days into filming. The film was based off a short story by David Henry Keller. Don't know what it was called, but the creature was played by a double amputee, which helped add to the unnatural movements. So overall, what did I think about this movie? If you came up to me and said that a child wrote a film that's an adult directed professionally, then I'd say, show me. And that person would show me The Cellar. While it does have its strong aspects, such as the charm, the desert setting, the creature, some of the music, this film still needed more rewrites and edits. Still, I feel you'll walk away happy with the film. If you were really into 80s, 90s nostalgia, you'll be about as happy as a boy playing with a spear, making Indian sounds. Was that racist? Nah, kid did it in the movie. Overall, I give The Cellar a 1.5 out of 5. Thank you all for watching, and I am Brian Gatto, the horror show host. Make sure to like, comment on, as well as share this video. Like my Facebook fan page and support me on Patreon, where even $1 a month will help keep this channel going on strong, and I'd greatly appreciate it. Plus, you get access to body counts and other music videos that you cannot get on YouTube because of copyright and age restriction. Monetary support. If you want to support the channel through PayPal, it's horrorshow37@gmail.com. I'd greatly appreciate that too. But if you don't want to support me with any money, just hit that notification bell to be notified every time I make a new video, and as always, subscribe.